So here we are at Robot Dog Studio under the watchful eyes and ears of Ryan Cohen and Sam Mark. Tonight I'm joined by Sarah King. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I just want to make a note. I believe this is the fifth in my ongoing series of I've never actually seen you play live before. So I'm bringing you into the studio just so I get a chance.
Yes.
And did want to ask one question. That's not an appropriate word to use with you. Fifth?
Fifth? Nope. Fifth is fine. Yeah. I've been first. I've been second. Fifth is fine.
Well, I was figuring that'd be the first whiskey joke of the night. So.
Yeah, you beat me to it. Yes. Yeah. Nah, I like your style.
I'm sure we'll get to others.
Fabulous.
All right. What do you want to open with tonight?
I was going to open with, speaking of whiskey, my song called Wedding Rings, which everyone's like, oh, that's cute. I'm like, no. Like, this is a song about those people who like take their wedding rings off and then go out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
But the intro line was a warning to myself. It says, girl, you better lay off that liquor. And so this is sort of, I play this as my intro a lot to be like, just so you know what you're getting yourself into by tuning in right now.
Nice.
So this is Wedding Rings. Girl, you better lay off that liquor before you kill someone. Don't you know that I felt sicker from all that I left undone? Baby, I tried to tell you this wasn't the best idea, but you don't listen. Your bad luck keeps drawing near, and now you're telling me the tale once more again. But you don't wear wedding rings, and you're saying it like you've been here before, but I ain't said a goddamn thing. You wear your shroud like a badge of honor, giving you credibility. You're still trying to lay it on her, knowing everything you did to me, yeah. And now you're telling me the tale once more again. But I don't wear wedding rings, and you're saying it like you've been here before, but I ain't said a goddamn thing. Baby, if you only knew all the things I did to you behind your back, oh, you would be so sad. But it's all in the past. I left you too fast, and you finally realized everything you had in me. Oh, in me. And now you're telling me the tale once more again. But I don't wear wedding rings, and you're saying it like you've been here before, but I ain't said a goddamn thing. No, I ain't said a goddamn thing. No, I ain't saying goddamn thing. Oh my God, applause. It's so cool to like, I could see you like bobbing in the corner of my eye. I'm like, yes. Oh man. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like pretty starved for a while, and then we started doing these things again. And then all of a sudden, it's just like feel free to move, and I can feel free to like clap after songs.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I do it like when I'm watching streams. I still like clap and cheer at my computer like a lunatic. So it's cool if you do that at home too. That's fine.
All right. Cool. I don't actually tend to do it at home in the computer, obviously.
Okay.
Strangely enough, so.
Yeah. All right. I support you either way. Yeah.
Yeah. I just appreciate it in my head, I guess.
Yes, that's totally. I'm not the person like I won't laugh out loud at a movie, but like if somebody's banter in a live stream is really good, I'll laugh. So everyone's different.
Well, yeah, that sometimes happens. So that was from your first album, Sarah King and the Guilty Henchman.
Guilty Henchman, yes.
And did you record that in Georgia?
In Georgia, yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the evolution of that album, moving up to Vermont, and kind of where you're at now?
I'll try to keep it brief. That was recorded. I actually lived in Vermont at the time, but I had lived in Georgia previously, and I had toured around the Southeast with a band who we had a very different name at the time that like was probably a key indicator of like why we didn't succeed. It's Hebrew and like it's a cool name, but like nobody could pronounce it, and so everyone's like, "What?" 3 years ago, because COVID took my time, in 2019, I had all these songs that I had written in the time since I had left Georgia, and I was like, man, I really want to record them. And I had kind of written them like with some of my former bandmates, like, with their like style and stuff in mind. And one day out of the blue, I just texted the group, our little like group chat that we had, even though we hadn't been in a room together at this point for 7.5 years. And I sent a text and I was like, hey guys, want to make another record? And one wrote back, the drummer, who is like my brother. He's amazing. And he wrote back and he's like, I have been waiting for you to ask that question for years. Nice. Oh my goodness. I almost cried. And everyone else is like, well, if JP's in, then I'm in. And so we schemed and then I flew down in July of 2019. And over the course of 4 days, we recorded the whole record.
Wow.
At the same studio where we had recorded our debut like 10 years earlier. Not 10 years, but it felt like 10 years. I stayed, it was my friend's studio. And so like I stayed at his house, the studio, and we called it like the stay and play package. We worked from about 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day. Wow. I've never worked harder on anything in my life. I was just like, the love that was in that room, like after everything that we had been through, like in our early 20s and stuff, and how much we'd grown up, and then coming back together to kind of like create that album together was just awesome. So even though I didn't record it up here, it was like a pivotal part of my musicianship up here in Vermont, because it was like I finally got to close that chapter, right? Like we finally finished the second album that we had never gotten around to doing. And so
leaves in a good space to move on.
Very good space. And like, I'm still super, like we talk now even more than we did like then. I mean, there was some, like I had a dream like a week ago that I was back in Georgia recording with them, and I like sent that to the group text and they all replied with like little hearts and stuff. Miss you guys. So I'm like, like when it's safe to tour, like can I go down to Georgia and just borrow them and like stick them in my band? And and then we'll be on tour again. So
cool.
Yeah.
I think we're all looking forward to that time. So.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Seems like it could be getting closer.
I get my shot on Monday, and I'm not talking about the kind of shots that are in my coffee cup.
I got mine on Wednesday, so
yes. Yeah.
Pretty psyched it's in process.
So pumped. Yeah.
Cool. What do you want to play next?
I bet you're excited to play or to hear this. You can try to play it if you want to. You don't know how it goes.
No, you don't want to hear me play music.
This is Nightstand. So Nightstand was the first single off the new record, and everybody wanted me to play it like all winter, and I absolutely refused because I wanted them to listen to the album. But now it's been out for 6 months, so now I'll play it live.
Cool.
It's a Nightstand. Had this fear of falling down the stairs since my father
caught me in midair when I was a baby. I was a baby, yeah. When the devil's with me, I must say he almost always gets his way. Since I was a baby, I was a baby, yeah. I was born with the cold wrapped around my neck. It's not something I could ever forget. The world's been trying to take me out since the day I first arrived. There's a darkness reaching for my hand. I keep a gun in my nightstand, oh, waiting for music to bury a body by. Just like clockwork, he appears, a lonesome soul with a ringing ears. But I'm not his baby, I'm not his baby, no. But the tail of Venus weighs his mind. He falls into my trap right on time. 'Cause he's not a baby, he's not a baby, no. He was born with the shadows on his mind, searching for something he could never define. The world's been trying to take him down since the day he first arrived. There's a darkness reaching for my hand. I take the gun from my nightstand, oh, dancing to music to bury a body by. Won't be my baby, won't be my baby, no. But before I show him what he's won, I better tell him every little thing I've done since I was a baby. I was a baby, yeah. I was born with the cord wrapped around my neck. It's not something I could ever forget. The world's been trying to take me out since the day I first arrived. There's a darkness reaching for my hand. There's a gun in my nightstand, oh, waiting for music to bury a body by. Waiting for music to bury a body by. Music to bury a body by.
Yay!
Cool. It is so cool to like hear applause and not have to like woo myself.
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a fun set change.
Yes. Magic.
Yes. Turned a guitar into a piano. Okay, so that song, Nightstand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really intense lyrics.
Yep.
Sometimes you hope for like one great lyric in a song to grab someone, but that one has so many.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about writing that, and I guess I'm kind of fascinated about hearing the full production of it and then hearing the stripped down version of it, and each seem to have their own power, but they're a little bit different. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. Yeah, so the writing process, let me see. This is a fun story. Okay. You know Dolly Parton, obviously. Yeah. Okay. So Dolly Parton sang the Mule Skinner Blues quite a lot, and, you know, it was a very popular song that she sang. It was, you know, an old traditional blues song, which is kind of my jam. I love, like, old folk and traditional music. And I love Dolly's version of Mule Skinner Blues, and I had started playing it, and I was like, no, there's something about the lyrics that didn't line up with the music because it's in A major, and so it's like chugging along at A major, and it's talking about, like, you know, these men trying to take her money and like not taking her seriously and stuff. And so I was kind of messing around with like how I wanted to play it. And then all of a sudden, all these new words came out with the strum pattern that I arranged for Mule Skinner Blues. And so I'm not saying like it's not like the dark side of Mule Skinner Blues or anything like that. But that's where the melody and the guitar part and stuff kind of came from. It was through that folk song, that story. That's where that came from. The lyrics themselves are quite a bit more personal. There was a time in my life when I did keep a gun in my nightstand. Indeed, I don't at the moment. So, but it's written somewhere out there, like in an interview or something, where I was playing around a lot, and there was a club promoter who was like pretty cool. And then one day, like after the show, he was like, "Let me help you load your gear out to your car," and then tried to assault me at the tour van, and that was not really at all okay, not at all. And so, not that he would like follow me home or anything like that, but I kept a gun on my nightstand because it made me feel better at that time. Very cruel and weird twist of fate. This particular person had been out of my life for quite some time. In the studio, while we were recording, I got a little Facebook notification pop up on my page or on my phone that this particular person had liked my music page. And so when you listen to the recording, there's a part near the end where my voice gets really like fierce and angry. And it was because I saw that name again, and I never wanted to see or hear anything about that person again.
I bet.
Ooh. And so it's like we recorded that one take, and then the producers were like, "Do you want to go outside?" I'm like, "Yep." So it's a funny story now, but it was a very, very intense recording session, really intense. And so, so I really, really loved what we did with it in the studio and how we brought the song to life, taking it from like a traditional folk feeling song to this really like noir country kind of thing. Like the tambourine to me is like what makes the song. That eerie tambourine is like ghostly throughout. And then when I was on my own after the studio, I was like, okay, how do I want to play this? Because I had initially played it at a much faster pace to kind of keep that like, country thing going. But I slowed it down, and I actually prefer to play it on electric now too, with a little bit more space even, because I feel like the lyrics, as you noted, they take up a lot of space on their own. So I don't really need to be like chugging along on the guitar, which I had initially done. So it was a real process with that song, really, from creation to recording to how I perform it now. Really has been quite a journey, definitely.
Yeah, and giving it that kind of ghostly sound with those lyrics on top just kind of like sends chills.
Yep.
In a good way and a bad way at the same time.
Like you don't want to meet me in a back alleyway if you pissed me off before.
But hey, fair warning,
Exactly. Yeah, just like be like a normal human being and all will be well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's been my jam lately is just be a decent human being towards everyone. Why not? It's easy.
It's easy. Kindness is free, costs nothing. And like you have no idea like what other battles people may be facing and like all this stuff. Like, I might, I'm totally all about like singing all these murdery songs and stuff. But like in real life, like, no, I'm like, oh, does your puppy need some water? Like, are you okay? Like, yeah. Be a nice person.
Yeah, we've got to have the yin and the yang,
Exactly. Yeah, there's a little bit of both in me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All of us. Yes.
Oh, cool. What do you want to play next?
Speaking of, so the next song that I'm going to play is Poison, which is the lead single off of that new EP. And in some ways, this was inspired by something very, very different. But in some ways, I feel like Poison and Nightstand are sort of twin songs, like the front and the back side, like two different answers to very similar problems, even though they were inspired by two very different things. So cool. We'll see what you think.
Yeah.
We can play that game, What's in My Coffee Cup? Think about that while I'm playing.
What do you say to a man who won't listen? I don't wanna waste my breath. You say I'm crazy, out of my mind. You ain't seen nothing yet. Making excuses for your behavior in the only way you can. Know these reasons, they don't make you a decent man. taste of your own medicine. You say I poisoned you. I know you won't change 'cause you can't understand. So what else can I do? Stand straight before you. I won't walk away this time. I'm not bent and I'm not broken by your crimes. You got a passionate case, but I don't care what you say. You're not the only one acting like this every day. I gave you a taste of your own medicine. You say I poisoned you. I know you won't change 'cause you can't understand. So what else can I do? Taste of your own medicine. You say I poisoned you. I know you won't change 'cause you can't understand. So what else can I do? The story is nothing new. Every word I say is true to a man who won't listen. Men who won't listen.
Yay!
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's another one that I really like a lot too.
Me too. Yeah.
I love the whole line about I'm spacing that. About just giving, you say that I poisoned you.
Yes.
And-
Yeah.
But you're just doing the
Yeah.
same thing that
Gave
the
you a
person
taste
did
of
to
your
you.
own medicine, but you say I poisoned you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's kind of cool because I mean we all experience life from our own perspective. So to some degree, we're all selfish.
Yep.
However, we can look around and we can interact with other people and we can kind of get beyond that selfishness. And I think that's a song that really maybe helps encourage us to do that.
Definitely. That's like, I feel like this song like is a lot more universal. Like Nightstand is pretty specific,
Yeah.
but I feel like this one is yeah, a lot more universal. It could be a business situation where somebody just like won't take you seriously. It could be a relationship situation. It could be, yeah, like any interaction, like please just like, yeah, I'm just trying to get through to you something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading something about this guy who had a woman employee, and she wasn't as productive as everyone else. And so he was kind of curious about it. And then one day he was actually logged in under her account and was getting all of this, everyone questioning everything he did. Then he was like, wait a minute, that's why she's not productive. Not because she isn't as good as everybody else. It's just because everyone's assuming that she isn't because she's a woman. And that kind of clicked for that guy. And it was just like, good lesson.
Seriously. Yeah. It's like, I mean, in so many things in life, it's like, right now, obviously, of course, like the work burden, right, from men and women, but also, racism is a huge thing in this country. And I mean, even ageism, like there are just so many things that people will use just to make someone the other, right? And just be like, oh, like it's because of that. And like, no, like we're all humans, like, yeah. Definitely. And it's a lot more difficult for a lot of people, myself included in many instances, to put yourself in somebody else's shoes if you truly don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to listen. And
Yeah, I find listening is really good. I find keeping an open mind. I kind of find that not assuming anything about anyone. One of my favorite things to do is go into Radio Bean, and sometimes you'd see a little kid in the corner who didn't look like anything, who would be the next person up on the stage who'd play a beautiful song, and you're like,
Right.
wow.
Right.
So you can't assume.
You never know. So I have a funny story actually about you. So that you can't assume, right? So I had actually emailed you before you ever reached out to me and like sent you my music and stuff. And I think my stuff just went to spam because I realized later that a lot of the emails I was sending were going to people's spam, but I never heard back. And I was like, he must think I'm so terrible.
Oh, no.
And then it turned out that like, no, I don't think you ever got the email that I sent you because you clearly are very supportive now.
Yeah.
But if I had not assumed that and had just gone about my life, you know, like would have been whatever. But I was like, I was truly bummed that I didn't hear back. But I know it's not your fault because I don't think you got the email because I found out later about my email problem.
Yeah.
But that's a great example. You know, you have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
No idea. Yeah.
Okay, what do you say? Another set change here?
Yes, another set change, por favor, s'il
Okay.
vous plaît.
Go, Ryan. Okay, so now we're back to the guitar.
Yes. One day I'll like rearrange the set list to make it easier for people, but
Oh, make it a challenge. It's more fun.
yes, it really is, especially right now. And I am like so starved for like, the experience. Yes.
All right. Okay, so what are you going to play next?
Not worth the whiskey.
All right.
I couldn't like not play it. So, all right, let me get in the zone. I have to stop giggling. Did you see my little outtake reel this week of like me giggling in like every scene for the video shoot?
I missed that one.
Okay.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I posted a little, because, you know, it's like the video is really serious. And I'm like, okay, I'm really serious. All right, so here we go. Not worth the whiskey.
I tried to save you, all that I gave you. I tried to save you from yourself when you had no one else. You're deep in the water, misdeeds are the fodder on which your guilty conscience feeds. 'Cause you can't get what you need, and now you're greeted by a day you knew would come, staring down everything we both know you've done. And I can only be good for so long. You've done me so wrong. You're not worth the whiskey. I tried to hold you back when I told you I won't find myself to blame. If you set yourself aflame, you walked into the fire. I found you a liar. Your blood won't be on my hands. 'Cause you're not a gentleman, and now you're greeted by a day you knew would come, staring down everything we both know you've done. And I can only be good for so long. You've done me so wrong. You're not worth the whiskey, not worth the whiskey. You're not worth the whiskey, not worth the whiskey.
Yay!
My version of repeat and fade in the live setting.
Nice. That song has a couple really cool things going for it. One is just a really stark video, a nice production of the sound, obviously. And that kind of became a kind of a idea for your fun crowdfunding campaign.
Yes, it did. Also, a Tim story. So maybe kidding me? Yeah, not worth the whiskey. When you had asked whether, people are worth like Johnny Walker or Jim Beam or, Whistle Pig or Pappy Van Winkle, I thought it was pretty funny. And, because there are some totally some people that like, all right, sure. Like I'll have a glass of like Knob Creek for you, but like nobody is worth the Pappy Van Winkle you would need to like, deal with their stuff. So I made that the tier for like the head honcho stuff. So my crowdfunding was all divided into, like Black Velvet, Jim Beam, Knob Creek, Ardbeg. So all the stuff in the middle is like the stuff I actually have at home. So the Knob Creek and the Maker's Mark and the Ardbeg and the Lagavulin and all that stuff. But it was pretty neat, to see like what people picked. But I had to make it very, very obvious that like no whiskey is included at any level.
Don't need the Vermont DLC on your case.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yeah. So thankfully nobody was assuming that they were going to get a bottle. So
nice. Yeah. I thought it was pretty clearly explained.
Yes.
And just a second here, I need to mask up.
Go for it. What? Ah! Oh my goodness. All right. So speaking of no whiskey being included, what do we have here? Oh my God. How did you find Four Roses? They don't even have it like, okay, so this is like some weird cosmic stuff because when I was in Kentucky, I went to the distillery and I learned the whole story about it. Do you know the whole story about Four Roses bourbon?
No.
Okay. The short, very romantic version that stuck with me is that the gentleman who started this, met this lovely lady, debutante, whatever, and she I think she asked to marry him or he asked to marry her, whatever it was like this big party. And if one of them showed up wearing Four Roses, then the answer was yes.
Oh,
well,
nice.
Obviously now we've got this distillery, right? And I love this bourbon because I had it down there and I can't find it anywhere up here, so thank you. Oh my goodness! And I actually have the glasses from the distillery at home, so this is such a perfect gift.
I was pretty sure that you had mentioned it in one of the live streams,
Maybe I
specifically Four Roses. And I was in a liquor store today thinking maybe I'd do something silly, and it was right there, and I'm like,
yeah, no,
I think it's there. I think that's the one.
Because I've literally looked for it, and I asked like the liquor stores near me, and they're like, we don't carry it, and I'm like, why not? So this is like...
Yeah, the woman at the store said they just got it today, too.
Oh, man. Well, big hug, across the distance. Thank you. That's I have the goosebumps and the chills because, that's such an appropriate gift. That's amazing.
I thought it'd be reasonable.
Very, very. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the live streams. I've seen you do, a ton of them, and it seems like they're all this really good quality. It sounds really good. Simple.
That's because you tuned in late slightly. You were a late adopter. You missed around this time last year. It was horrific.
Right.
I've learned a lot. Yeah.
Well, that's part of life too, is,
Yes.
making mistakes and then, figuring things out and getting better and getting to the point when you can do them well. And
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my biggest obstacle right now is living in the middle of the mountains. I have absolute garbage internet. So what I learned to do was dial the video quality down to pump the sound up. So that was the key. Yeah. So so I use OBS software to do that. So I feed the audio and the video through the software program, and I cap the video max at 330 kbs or whatever. It's really, really low, but I have the sound bumped up as high as possible. So that way, even if I'm pixelated or blurry or my image is kind of a lot of people say it's ghosty, where I'll move, but it shadows me. But the sound is good, and you're there for the music, so that's most important for me. So I also switched pickups in all of my guitars to a pickup that sounds better going right into the computer. So oftentimes, you get that room sound, and the wood of the guitar really picks up, but a lot of undersaddle pickups are magnetic, and they just don't pick up the resonance of the guitar. So I switched everything over to, shameless plug, K&K pickups. And they are amazing. They're passive pickups, and they pick up the wood and the resonance and everything around. So when I tap on the guitar and stuff, which I do quite often, it picks all of that up too. So, so that was a game changer. Got this microphone, which also helped. My first stream, I just had the computer at one end of the room, and I'm on the other end and sing into the computer microphone, the computer camera. It was so embarrassing. But after that, I kind of figured out, I'm wow, Nathaniel Rateliff isn't doing that. What's he doing? Hopefully I'll have better internet soon, fingers crossed. There's
Yeah.
like Starlink satellite that's hopefully on its way. But yeah, starting in May, my porch concerts are going to come back because it'll be warm enough for me to hang out outside. And
Nice.
those were a lot more fun. Like the ones with my cool backdrop are fine indoors, but I really like being outside because like the birds are chirping and the bats are squeaking and the trees like echo back, so I can pretend I'm like in an arena. It's different like singing in like so my studio at home is just like a spare bedroom, and I have a small house, and so it's like 10 by 8. And so like when I get real loud in there, it's too much because it's a log cabin. Everything is very reflective. So outdoors is the way to be. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And my next question is, as things start to look like they are getting open, have you started booking shows yet? Have you have plans for later in the year?
I was not planning on playing much at all this year, to be honest. To be completely frank, I expected another year of straight streaming, but 10 days ago, I woke up to like 4 booking inquiry emails, and I was like, oh my God, it begins. Like, I'm not going to say no because this is really exciting, right? So, I definitely have stuff in August and September. I don't know about earlier. A few places have asked me about earlier, and we'll see about that. But August and September, I'll be at the Champlain Valley Fair, and then there's a group of us kind of getting together and playing a few different venues that it hasn't been announced yet, so I don't want to say who it is or what we're doing, but in August and September we're doing those as well. So I was initially very trepidatious about playing live, but again, I get my shot on Monday, and I'm really excited. Being here with people has been really exciting for me. So, playing music live is my favorite thing in the world. Like singing to a computer is like fine, but I miss that interaction of sharing my stories and seeing how they make people feel like in real time. So,
Yeah, and I miss hearing performers do that same thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of thinking once we get to the point when everyone who wants a vaccination can have had one, that we should be able to start opening up again. And that's coming from like the head of the CDC. So I'm feeling good about it.
Fingers crossed. And I mean, you know what? Look, I'm fine like wearing my mask forever. Like I made all these cute little masks with like my favorite fabrics. And so I'm like, fine, like pack people in there, but like just mask it up. It's fine. Like somebody said like this line, which is like really macabre, but it's right up my alley. Like the mask it or casket. And I'm like, I have to put that in a song. But obviously very like not actually funny, but yeah,
I'm kind of one of those unfortunate people who have never really dealt well with masks, so I really have tried to avoid things. I mean, I was out at one show this year. It was one of those outdoors things, so we could like sit there without a mask at the table, so that was fine. But then I stopped in at Radio Bean just because they were open just that one night, and even after like 15 or 20 minutes, I'm just kind of feeling like strangled and like
totally,
And it's like I can't go to a show like that.
Mine were all like because I ended up making my own. Like I was making them to fit my face, and that's what I did. And like I'm not. My family calls me a utilitarian, like seamstress, because like I don't ever follow patterns. I don't like ever do anything right, but like I make it fit what it needs to do. So, my mask like fits my face because all the other like they weren't comfortable. They didn't like fit everything. So I totally get it. Because in the beginning I'm like, how am I supposed to like breathe with this thing on? But totally get it. You reminded me that my very last show was actually the Radio Bean. Like my last March 11th of last year. It was 2 days before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And
we had a band here on the 13th, and then I went out that night, and then that was it.
Yep. On the 13th, I was doing videos in Burlington, and that was it. And like I was there, and like as they were doing videos, they're like, "Do you still want to do these? Like, do you want to go get groceries because all the shelves are bare?" It's been a very weird year, weird, but like, it'll be interesting to see how this summer goes.
But we're resilient. We're getting through it.
Very, very resilient. Yes.
Okay, what do you want to close with tonight?
My favorite song to play live, which is The Moth.
Nice. I thought maybe.
And so speaking of being loud, I really can't play this one like at home indoors. It's so loud and it's so much fun. But yeah, The Moth is one of my favorites. And you played it on your show recently. So I was like, well, Tim likes it, so I'm going to play it. So here we go. The Moth.
Long night in the city, and I still can't find you. I've been searching searching for days. Your cold heart isn't true. There is the lair where you held me and snared like a moth to a well-dressed flame. Sweet is the heat each and every time we meet, but now I won't play again. Well, I'm standing in the shadows, see the fear in your eyes. You're alone, empty-handed, so much for your disguise. There is a lair where you held me and snared like a moth to a well-dressed flame. Sweet is the heat each and every time we meet, but now I won't play again. Well, I may be naive, but Lord knows I'm not blind. Time measured by heartbeats. Now that I know you're not mine, there is a lair where you held me and snared like a moth to a well-dressed flame. Sweet is the heat each and every time we meet, but now I won't play again. Long night in the city, and they still can't find you. They'll be searching for days. Your cold heart wasn't true.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I really do like that song.
Thank you. Yeah, that song is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, do you want to plug any social media or anything before we head on out?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, everything, literally like all the social stuff at Sarah King Sings. That's Sarah, Sarah, King Sings. Yeah, make sure it's me. It's like a picture of me in the water. Sarah King is a very common name, and I'm having, there are a lot of people who are also Sarah Kings and singers. In fact, there is another Sarah King in Burlington who is a musician, and there have been a couple of times where we've had some media mix-ups. She's a traditional violin player and really cool. She actually bought one of my shirts and like wears it around, which is the best. I met her at that Radio Bean show because she said all her friends thought, like when they saw the sign, they thought she was playing, and they're like, "You're playing at the Radio Bean?" So Sarah King in Burlington, if you're listening, hi. That's not me, but yeah, so sarahkingsings.com is me. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for coming in and playing, and
Thank you.
for getting to meet you and hear you play
know.
live. We've like chatted online like so much. It seems like I know you.
I know, yeah. It's amazing. It's like just hanging out with an old friend, like coming here. So yeah, I'm super glad to like finally meet you and hang out and talk. And I mean, I could talk about this stuff all day long.
Yeah.
so thank you for letting me yammer on about everything and play. This is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully sometime soon I'll get to go out to a club and see you play live and
Yes.
chat with you then too.
Definitely. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, well, I really want to thank Sam and Ryan and Robot Dog Studios for hosting these lovely things. And let's head on back to the WBKM studio.
Woohoo.